Welcome, yogis. It is lovely to have you here today. This the beginning of 2021 and the first session of Hummingbird program. So I thank you so much for joining and being with me here and now. And the thing to remember. Maybe you haven't done yoga for a while. Maybe you're new to the yoga programs and it's sort of early days for coming back into movement, yoga movement. So just follow your body, follow your breath. You can always get me to stop by pressing pause, pressing stop for a bit, and then press it on again if you need a break. It's so gentle anyway, you probably won't want to do that, but it's an option. It's different. This yoga, I can honestly say, is different in that you might release things that you didn't know were present. And emotions can come up. So follow your own tune. That's the number one advice I'd give with the practices. And just a really big hello to you all. It's great to be able to continue in this vein. So, if you would like to begin by lying down. So I thought today, I thought at the beginning of Hummingbird, I could focus on releasing what is not needed anymore within. You often hear about detoxing at New Year and this, that, and the other. And I just thought, well, yeah, there is a place for that after after Christmas, etc. And it is a good time to reset in a way and to release. So that is my focus for us today, is to begin the process of unwinding through the breath and movement and grounding. Those are the three main principles of Scaravelli inspired yoga. So on the ground, as you lie on your mat, allow your legs to bend so the soles of your feet are on the ground. And with the yoga, I have Elizabeth, who will be experiencing the yoga, and I will turn the camera to observe movements with Elizabeth. So it's a mix between seeing my face and seeing Elizabeth. And just to start with, it'll be me. Just listen. That's all you need to do, is listen and be. Now, it's useful at the start of the practice to hug your knees over your belly. So you can just lightly lift the knees up and hold the knees with your hands. Just to open up the spine before we come to lie. And you can rock side to side, from left to right, keeping the back of the pelvis with its connection to the earth. And just gently swaying. And then the knees can centralize and the feet can return to the floor. Now we come to the breath. Allow your arms to be away from the body. And if your legs are, if you want your legs to be outstretched in Shavasana, you can, or you can stay with the legs bent and the soles of the feet on the ground. And I just want you to imagine that your breath is coming in through your fingers. Imagine the ends of your fingers are just gently, energetically opening, and the air is flowing in through the ends of the fingers into your hands and into your arms simultaneously. The exhalation flows and the air moves out, back out through the hands, fingers, and draws back in again. Through the fingers, up through the arms. And it's as if the breath is arriving closer and closer to the spine. So just for a little while, just receive the breath within, into your energy body, into your physical body, and receiving that light air in through the hands, all the way until it begins eventually to touch the spine when it's moved through your shoulders. Then bring your attention down to the soles of your feet, to the ends of your toes. And imagine the ends of your toes just energetically opening. And if your legs are out long, it can be the whole of the sole of the feet. And just drawing the breath in, into the toes, into the foot, into the feet, into the ankles, and back out again. And again, the breath has time to arrive, to live, to move, to touch in the corridors of your being, through the junctions, through the energy lines, through the bones. In acupuncture terms, the Chinese developed the idea of meridians. Meridians are energy lines that run through the body, from the top of the head all the way down to the feet, to the ends of the toes. And they suggest that, illness comes in when energy lines get blocked. And both in, acupuncture and reflexology, by applying a needle or pressure, this unblocks the energy lines so that you have, a much, you become healthy, balanced again. But the breath can also have this influence within. It's the most wonderful tool for creating change. And I think now more than ever, with what we're having to wear on our faces when we go out, the mask stuff. I think now more than ever, this breath practice is really, really essential. So come back to this. Come back to the breathing in through the feet, as well as doing it now. Come back to it again and again to fill your body with the oxygen that we need. And the breath rises up through the legs and again begins to greet the spine. It begins to flow and connect. And if it's helpful, you could imagine the breath as a light, and the light just starting to open within, filling more and more of your body with this light energy. And when the breath touches the spine, you could then draw the inhalation from the end of the tailbone up the spine. So that light starts to travel and it infuses through your spine, that then has tributaries of the pelvic bones and the ribs, and the ribs receive this air coming through to the front of the sternum, the front of the chest. So the spine receives again and again, the breath rising and traveling around. It's almost like an energetic hug within of the air that soothes you, that touches you. And the air flows all the way up the spine, through the neck and into the skull. And let the air just travel around the skull to the inside, the underside of the skull, the back of the skull, which spreads as you rest on the ground. And the inside of the skull is touched by your loving breath. The top of the skull, your crown, where the purest form of your life energy is stored. And just acknowledging here. And then around to the behind the forehead. So you might see a little more clearly, perceive a little more clearly as the third eye has the chance to cleanse. And then feeling the breath around the eyes, the front of the face, behind the face, and the breath touches around the eyes, inside the nose. Inside the nostrils. Inside the cheeks. Ears. Mouth. Jaw. Throat space. And then let the exhalation roll down the curves of your spine. And the inhalation draws up the spine and draws out back to the ribs, around the side of your body, back to the back body, the back ribs, back to the spine. Inhaling up, exhaling around. Inhaling up through the spine. Exhaling around the spine to the sternum, to the front of the ribs. A few times more. Inhaling up through the spine and around the ribs. It's almost as if it's creating a energetic strength around you. You know, and you may have not been with many people for a long time and then had some company. And then, you know, sometimes it can be a little tiring after, you know, being quieter for so long. So we can just sort of recalibrate and cleanse. You know, maybe it's made you feel stronger. Maybe it's made you feel warmer and more complete. Whatever you feel, maybe you can just observe. And then the breath just rolls down the curves of the spine. One last time. And the natural breath just begins to flow in through the face, into the body, out of the body, out through the face. And often this center part of the face here, you know, if we breathe in through all of here rather than just the nostrils, I find that so much more breath can be taken in. And somehow it's freer in my experience. How does it feel in yours? And now I'm just going to turn the camera so that you can see Elizabeth. Bear with me, it just takes a few seconds to get it right. So we come now to movement. After the journey of the breath, the spine might be feeling quite keen to move now. So just let the knees come back over the belly in a very light and gentle way. Going around in a circle or a spiral. And just drawing this spiraling movement. Really noticing the air that comes and goes as you move. It's so easy to forget to witness the breath when we start moving. But the integration of the breath and the movements and the feeling of the ground is so key in this experience. And the pelvis responds to the face. There's such a connection through the spine to the face. So loosen the jaw and let the tongue become so soft in your mouth. And notice the yawns and sighs, whatever comes. This is all evidence of release. And then you can circle in the opposite direction. Notice the movement touching the spine, touching the pelvis. Then as the circles come to an end, allow the heels to find the floor first if you can. Then the body of the foot, the feet, then just lies on the floor and the toes spread. Then just drawing a few circles with the back of the pelvis on the ground. Part of it does float as you change. It's like drawing an O on the back of your leggings or trousers, whatever, and just feeling the invitation of change in the hips. And the change that occurs in the spine. And sense any movement that starts to encroach higher through the body. And it's that sort of really beautiful awareness of the movement touching further and further within, like to the diaphragm, to the top of the head even, the jaw. And an interest is also found maybe in the feet as you discover the weight moving from one side of the foot to the back of the foot to the side of the foot to the front, and then reverse the other way. And so we're really inviting the spine to wake up, to really open, and the spaces between the vertebrae to expand. So often, back problems can come from the back becoming locked, from the cushions in between the spine getting squashed. So this is where space, like a cushion, like plumping up a cushion, begins to emerge within your spine. And the influence of that is quite astounding, because then the nerves, there's many sets of nerves that come off the spine, and then when they are flowing beautifully, then organs of the body are fed better with energy, with circulation. Lots of different areas of your body are supported better through this freer function of the nerves of the spine, off the spine. And then allow the circles to come to an end. And just settling through the shoulders, through the back body, and bringing the arms into the air, floating the arms into the air and turning the palms behind, and then bending the elbows a little. And your elbows are the paintbrush, which draws spirals and swirls in the air. And so the elbows come towards each other, and then they move away. And we start to open up. Not only are the shoulders opening up, but the collarbones are opening up. The heart space is getting stimulated. The throat space, the diaphragm is being touched. The intercostal muscles, these can become very tough and tight, even though they move constantly with each and every breath. But just to sort of witness. And then the circles can travel in the opposite direction. Listening to the sound of your breath as it continues to flow. In a few moments, the arms can expand out and down onto the ground away from the body. Slightly opening the mouth once more, softening the muscles around the lips. Feeling the air within the belly and tuning into the exhalation, becoming really fascinated with your out breath. And then with your in breath. Then with your out breath. And again, this is where, this video can be helpful. So if it's one of those days where you're shattered and you just need to breathe, you can just keep doing this aspect of the breathing, and just stop the video here and just breathe for 10 or 15 minutes. And, the influence that will have on your being, with your energy, will be, I promise you, will be quite extensive. Or you can keep going as we begin to move into different areas of movement. So it's possible after the period of Christmas that you may have been sitting quite a lot. So I can't help but release the hips in this session today, and to get the synovial fluid flowing around the top of the femur heads, and this really keeps the hips and the leg bones in tip-top condition, and just really helps the skeletal system. So allow your left knee to rise over your belly and hold the left knee with your hands and on top of the knee maybe, and just a few gentle circles. Begin to roll as if you're stirring. The thigh bone is like the spoon stirring into the bowl of golden oil within the pelvis. And this really is the golden oil, the synovial fluid. It really does bring such gifts to the bones. And I was always fascinated about the bones, and You know, when we often see bones as dry, brittle, dead things, in skeletons that you might see in a classroom or a but actually bones are very white and pink, and they're the most incredible things. Where like the thigh bone, for example, the biggest bone in the body, and all the production that goes on in the bones, and it's lovely to give attention to this. So a few circles one way, a few circles the other. And as you take the circles the other way, the right knee can travel out to the side a little. And you can rest on the side of the right foot a little. You might not want to go that far. It depends how it feels in the pelvis. And soften the face again. Remember that connection between the face and the pelvis. And breathe these circles round and around. And then the right hand will just rest on the right side of the pelvis, and the right knee points back to the sky, and the left thigh just opens out to the left a little way. And we just practice that maybe 3 or 4 times of just opening and closing, bringing back to the center, opening and closing. And then the right hand comes on top, behind the thigh, and and the left as well, and then just drawing that left thigh towards you. And send it away with an exhalation when that emerges, and draw towards you on an exhalation when the timing is right. And begin to smile underneath the jaw by opening the mouth slightly. And just making a few sighs, and and after that little process, you can then bring the right foot off the floor and hold both knees with the hands, and just tune into the difference between each side. Is there any sense of difference? I can see Elizabeth really feeling a difference there between the two. Your left knee, I'm observing, Elizabeth's left knee is closer to the chest after that process. So if you have to think about that for a moment, that means the muscles have given, and then the spine is then more open in the waistline and the lower back, as well as it could be a combination of opening in different vertebrae, but I can witness that. So the left foot then goes to the floor, and a few circles then begin with this right side. And breathe. Remember to breathe in and breathe out with this keen interest on the flowing breath. It really supports the body, this deep focus on the breath. And then as you prepare to circle in the opposite direction, the left knee goes out to the left a little, and there's this different opening. And you can use the side of the foot, the left foot, to support this. And just remember, if your spine doesn't feel so safe, with the knee out to the side, then just bring it back. But sometimes I'm discovering that it actually feels, for me personally lately, I felt that it's a little easier. So see how it is for you. And allow the left knee to come back to the center, and let the left hand rest on the front of the left pelvis, and then the right hand holds the right thigh or knee as it opens out to the right a few times, maybe 4 times, moving on the out breath, returning on the out breath is often a useful connection. And then the hands move onto the knee or behind the thigh, and then that's drawn closer to the chest as you exhale. And moving away on an exhalation, and then inhale, and then exhale back towards the chest on an exhalation is quite useful. Now you can press the left foot on the ground to support this movement, and you might find that the right thigh gives a little more with that grounding. You can do this just the same amount of times as the other side, maybe 3 or 4 times. And when you've completed that, you can allow the left foot to float up and hold both knees, and just tune into the pelvis and to the spine and see how it feels now they've both received. And then just do a few more circles like we did at the very beginning, just rolling around and noticing how that feels. Is there any difference to when you did it at the very beginning, if you can remember, to now? Tuning into the spine. Maybe just 3 circles one way and 3 circles the other. And then taking both feet with the heels searching the ground first, if possible. It's not always easy to do that. Letting the heels land and then the body of the feet. Then I'd like you to cross the right thigh over the left. And then bring the pelvis back to the center. So the pelvis is quite equal on the ground. Allow the left foot to float up off the floor so that the legs rise over the belly. And hold the legs with the hands just for a few moments. And lift the head and shoulders off the floor with your next exhalation, sticking your tongue out as you rise. And sending the tongue out of the mouth and then laying the head back down. Now, if that feels okay to do that, you could do it again, waiting for the exhalation and letting the air travel over the tongue and then settling back down. And then your left arm, your right arm travels out to the right, and your head turns to look to the right direction. And the legs are going to spiral over to the left slowly. And if at any point your spine doesn't like it, you can just uncross the legs. Just see how it feels. And this is where props might be needed, like a cushion or a pillow under the knee, especially if you haven't done yoga for a while. You might just need a little something. And after being on your back for a while, just the enjoyment of really releasing into the spiral. And let the eyes close. And just feel the sense of the back body filling up with the breath. And just enjoy the air circulating within the body. And the exhalation that just is a lifting out old energy from your being. When we're stagnant, our energy can be a little dull, and we could feel possible that you could feel a little low, or less motivated, or even downright depressed, So when we start to shift the breath, shift the exhalation, it lifts those sticky ashes out of our being, and we're replaced with, pure life force, energy, prana. And in a moment or two, we'll prepare to return with an exhalation. And you can use the side of the left foot to help you to sort of roll you back, and then lift back over the belly, and then place the left foot on the ground. Uncross the legs. Change the legs. So the left crosses over the right now. Balance the pelvis first, so this helps to balance the spine. And then lifting the right foot off the floor and holding the legs with the hands, with both hands for a moment, either around the front leg or behind the back leg. And there's a possibility of lifting the head and shoulders off the ground and bowing to the knee. But if it doesn't feel right for you, you don't have to do it. I'm just noticing with Elizabeth, there's a remarkable difference from the first time you did that to now. And sinking the chin and allowing the tongue to draw out of the mouth the next time you rise. Now this helps to release tension in the back of the skull, where the skull greets the neck, where most of us, I would suggest, have a lot of tension. And now we're going to spiral the other side. So the left arm moves out and the head turns left, and then the legs are guided over to the right, slowly with the breath, moving in, moving out. And just feeling the air circulating and filling up within the back body. Really living in the back body for a few moments and experiencing the spreading of the breath. And sense behind the sternum, behind the breastbone, and just spreading, releasing here. And now I'm going to suggest lifting the back arm right across the body and the eyes follow. And so you find yourself lying on your side and the knees just sit one on top of the other. So you can then just bring the legs back. Just back to arms. See that. At this point, it's useful to have a cushion underneath the head. Yes, and it's good to have room above the head and below. Just witnessing the breath and taking the top hand down to the thigh and then around as the body rolls with the movement, the head turns, and just doing a few 360 circles. Feel free to move if you haven't got enough room, and the knees are around the height of the hips, so maybe slightly higher, and just rolling the body. Sometimes we could do this as just an arm movement, but if we roll with it, as if you're, on a really good holiday, and the beach is, maybe you're on a beach and the sun is really bright and your body, your muscles are really warmed by the sun, and just really opening with this flow. I find this movement really, really powerful at releasing the spine and particularly shoulders and the neck. And you can observe changes by seeing where your top hand lies at the end of the circles, because sometimes it's a lot further forward than the bottom arm. So a few circles that way and a few circles the other have taken place. And now we're going to put your arm underneath your head so it bends. You might not need the block, might be in the way a bit. So you can just hold around the back of the skull or the back of the ear. Does that feel okay? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the top arm lies on the side of the body, and the top leg lengthens out onto the floor and just draws out and relaxes. And then what's going to happen here is you're going to lift your top arm over and shadow the face with the arm, with the palm facing down, and as if it shadows the eyebrow. And then the top leg is going to lift up at the same time and float, just really floats in the sky. So that's it, lovely. And the heel extends away and the breath flows in and out. And then you can sink down and bring the arm back over the side of the body to land on the side again. Inhale and exhale and repeat the same movement. The palm faces down of the hands and shadows the eyebrows, or it's slightly in front of the face, just as you can see here. And the heel extending away, the ankle opening. And then releasing back and just repeating one last time. On an exhalation, this gentle flow. And sinking back down. And then from here, the knees bend back one on top of the other. And just taking a moment of rest. And then the top hand and arm is going to bend, and you're going to hold on to the back of the skull with this hand, with the elbow in the air. And the elbow is going to travel, and the head is going to lift. Just to begin with, keep the throat space very long and open. And the head is going to rise up, and the elbow is going to travel towards the waistline, and the other arm stays on the ground. So the waistline is almost concertinaing, and the underside of the body is lengthening. And at the same time, the knees stay together, but the lower leg lifts up. And just repeating that maybe 4 times. With an exhalation, opening up through the sides of the neck, relaxing in the heart space. Noticing any sensation in the waistline. And then one last one. Then undoing the top arm down to a comfortable place. And just having a few moments to feel the air moving into relaxed nostrils and into the body. And in a few moments, there's no hurry. You just change to the other side, so your head's at the other end of the mat. And lying with your head on a cushion to start with the arms out in front and both knees touching each other. The knees at the height of the hips. This is where we invite body to roll, to really flow as the arm moves around in a 360 circle. Now, if you've got any shoulder discomfort or injuries, you might find that you're not going 360 degrees. It can be anything. It's helpful to stop before you reach any pain. We don't want to feel pain. It's okay to feel an opening and that sense of, oh yeah, that feels good to do that. But if you're pushing through, especially if you've had like rotator cuff injuries, then you really wouldn't want to push at all with this movement. And just notice the heart space in the center of the chest, and really sense the heart space flowing, expanding, as if the color, imagine a color in your chest and it's expanding like watercolor. It touches on the insides of the ribs and really flows. And the hands can rest. The body can rest. You can take one arm underneath the head now and remove the cushion. I mean, you might want a cushion as well on top of the bent arm that holds the back of the fingers just wrapped around the back of the skull. And then the top arm rests on the side of the body. And the top leg lengthens out. Inhale. And then as you exhale, the leg and the arm lift together, and the top arm shadows the face, and a sense of lengthening through to the feet, to the soles of the feet and to the fingertips as you breathe, and the heel extends away. There's length from hip to heel, and then you can come down whenever feels right. And repeat that movement again 3 more times. Breath. And feel that armpit space, the side ribs, If your leg is bouncing, is shaking and bouncing up and down, that's a good sign that there's some, sort of old trauma that just needs to be released. So practicing this in the future would be good. Um, just to observe. It's amazing that, the movements really help to change our brain as well. And repeating movements again and again really assists your being and your brain as well as the body. As you release this movement will then change to bringing the knees together and just resting for a few moments. Assimilation time is just as important as the movement. As your top hand now comes to wrap around the back of the skull behind the ear, and we leave the the arm underneath the head on the floor as we exhale to rise the elbow towards the waistline, and the top leg lifts, the lower leg, sorry, lifts. And just ensure that the throat space is long and the chin a little tiny bit down. Real softness through the mouth and length from the heart space to the top of the crown. When you next lie down, just notice from the heart space to the top of the crown is long. Maybe one more time. And undoing the arms so that you can just be comfortable. You can use your block if you wish, just to have just a few moments of release. And in a moment or two, when you feel ready to move, we'll move into the child pose from this side lying. So with the child, as you come to all fours, you could actually gather the belly as if towards the back of the waistline. And then it's as if you're sending the belly back towards the sitting bones that takes you down towards your heels. And then you rest the forehead to the earth. And the arms out in front help to release the shoulders a little more as you just breathe and sink. And you can have a cushion between the pelvis and the calves and the heels, if that helps you. Or you could have 3 or 4 even. Do what you can to make it possible, or you can even have something underneath the knees like a blanket, if it feels okay. Now this is a wonderfully grounding pose. If you've had a lot on and if feeling stressed or anxious, this is a really good pose to earth you, to face the earth and release. And you could take your socks off for these next movements. And at any time you need water, the breath uses up, the water a lot. So do keep hydrated. Frequent sips of water is really useful for the hydration. And so on all fours, I'm just going to take a few circles of the pelvis to begin with, of the body really, as the pelvis travels over to the left and then behind and then the other side and then forward. And this movement can increase, so a sense of going over the hands is possible. But what I'd really like you to tune into is the spine, the movement of the spine, any feelings within the shoulders, any feelings around the neck and the back of the head or through the center of the head. And just really flowing with your circles. And you can either take a rest in between doing the one side, going one way, or you can just reverse and travel a few circles the other way straight away. Do what you need. Find what you need. When you feel you've done an equal journey each side, and just return back to the child and just rest in the child and sink. And gently rising back to all fours. A tiny softness in the elbows with the fingers wide, and sensing the top of the feet on the floor. Just going to practice lifting the left arm forward and the right leg back. So it's like a diagonal. Might need to just make sure you've got loads of space to allow the left arm to float forward and for the right leg to float back with the heel extending away and the eyes looking down. And what we're searching for is for the pelvis to be balanced and straight. That looks pretty brilliant, actually. And then drawing back in, and then explore the other side. And just see how you can soften and relax within this movement. And just sinking, that's it, that left side of the pelvis just sinking down a little. Breath. This is a really good back strengthening movement. It really helps to support the spine, the structure of the spine. And then you could do one the other side, one each again the other side, if you feel okay to do so. Listening to the breath and lengthening. Feel the armpit space opening, the palms of the hands relaxing, and the heel growing behind. And then returning back into the child to give the arms this and the body this opportunity to rest. Rising up to all fours and just allowing your forearms to rest on the ground, and for the head and neck to release down, and to feel a sense of just searching to relax the heart space in the center of the chest, and the shoulders and the head and the neck. And we don't want any pressure on the top of the head. It may skim the earth as the toes tuck under. And, you know, Elizabeth, just follow your way. You know, if you don't want to be in anything too long, then, you know, just feel free to come down. But the knees will float up off the floor and the pelvis then peels to the sky and the heels extend away and the knees open. And just sinking back down. If you want to repeat it, you can. You could walk the elbows in just an inch or two, maybe not, and just breathing. Feel that length from hip to heel. And then just take a rest on the front of your body. Just lying down, let the legs just extend and just enjoy that moment, these moments of rest, to tune into the floating spine. To feel how the structure of the spine moves as you rest on your belly, on the front of your being, just giving your weight to the earth. So much goes on, so much movement takes place in the spine when we lie in this way. Because you're so supported, the spine might feel lighter. And you might be able to discern which parts of the spine move. If any parts of the spine have any aches or pains. If any area feels stiffer than other areas, or if some areas feel completely free. And again, you could explore this for 10, 15 minutes on another day. You know, the practice doesn't have to be 20 salute to the suns. It could be 10 minutes looking at the spine. And the gifts that will bring will be huge. And in a moment, just bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. And then rising up and bringing the hands underneath the shoulders and tucking the toes under. Maybe just walk the hands, lovely, walk the hands just a little more forward. And soft breath. And we're just going to float into the dog pose in the lightest, softest way you can. So the knees, beautiful, the knees just floating, 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 floating. It can become so light, so gentle, the dog. And just lift one heel and then the other. Bend the insides of the arms as if you're breathing up through the insides of the arms, across into the shoulders. Paddling with the heels, drawing, drawing, drawing. And we'll make this practice personal to you whenever you've had enough. Seeing if you could just bring your hands back towards the feet to find yourself in the forward bend when you feel ready. And a softness in the knees. Let the toes spread. Let the heels descend to the earth. and then gently rising up through the spine. As you rise, you just take time to maybe lengthen the arms to the sky, just to reach into this openness, looking to the sky, and then sweeping the arms down again, and just lifting one foot and then the other to really bring you into the body after being, quite low so far today. Being down and let the breath in maybe just facing in the direction just ahead of you. Send your roots down through your feet with your eyes open, just seeing what you can see all around you without turning the head. Just notice your vision and notice the sensation of earth beneath your feet. And then just bringing one knee up towards you, just bending one knee up towards you, and then sinking that foot down, and then the other. Just experiencing the balance. And then the possibility of the left leg bending behind you. And just seeing if, so the knee bends and the foot travels towards the bottom, and just seeing if your hand can hold maybe the trouser leg or the foot, and if that's possible, then, and of course, it doesn't, Rome isn't built in a day. At any point you can come down from this, or you can lift your right arm to the sky and breathe. There's possibility of going forward in the pendulum, of traveling forward and allowing that back knee to open out behind. That's it. Breath. And focus on a point in front of you, chin a little down, back of the skull, and whenever you need to, come down. That was amazing that you went straight into that anyway. I was going to do that in parts, but you just did it. So everything that we've done today has led to this. And so all the movements of the hip, the arm releases, the relaxing, the dog. So playing, just lifting that back leg. And, for me, I don't hold the back of my leg. I can't reach. You can try with a belt, or you can just have the energy of the hand towards the bent leg and lift the opposite arm to the sky. And then the pendulum may occur, it may not. Just seeing that back knee, that's it. The thigh kind of goes at the angle of the arm out in front of you. Beautiful. And relax your neck a little. You were just going to do that. Mm-hmm. Relax your neck, your jaw, smile. Open the mouth slightly. So just remember, it doesn't matter how far we go or don't go. It's not about the shapes we make. it's the journey and the breath. And then just releasing into the forward bend. So soft knees, reaching the arms out in front. Walking back into the dog pose. Sending the hands forward, bend the knees, send the pelvis behind, growing through the spine. And then sinking whenever you want to, sinking down back into, so we're heading back onto the ground to lie in the recovery position. So you can always go back into the child first if you wish to. And then we're going to lengthen out. And the one knee is going to bend. And the left arm goes down towards the left hip. And the right arm bends out to the side. And the head can go wherever you like. And then close your eyes and take this rest that you deserve so much after all of that focus. That was a lot of concentration and a lot of focus. And just let go. Just breathe out and rest. Breathe out and rest. The weight of your body can be given more and more and more to the earth. And if you can, at this time, just think of a positive statement in the present tense for the coming year, for yourself. Then see if you can formulate this statement and just say it to yourself 3 times. For example, it could be, I remain released, motivated, joyful, and kindly, or whatever it is. Just see if you can create one. And then allow the bent leg to straighten and change the arms to the other way and the leg the other way. And the back arm moves away from the side of the body with the elbow bent to create that width across the back of the shoulders. Then I just want you to think about 3 things that you're grateful for in your life. Gratitude practice increases the energy in the crown the purest form of prana. And of course, you can practice more gratitudes than 3 if you wish to. So back to me. I hope you've enjoyed the first session of 2021. I wish you the best possible year that you can have and experience the wonderful things. I send you all lots of love. Take your time to rest in the recovery pose so that you can really continue to release and reset at this beginning of January. So I will say goodbye, lots of water. Have a look at the other 2 videos that come with this week's, lots of relaxing things at this time. And I will see you next time. Lots of love.